All right, we're on to linear measure, which is our section 1-2. And I'm just going to give you a minute to press pause and then write these things down, and then I will just read through them. So pause, and I'll read it to you once you're done. So a line segment or segment can be measured because it has two endpoints. In order to do that, we draw a segment with two endpoints, named AB or BA. Notice that there are no arrows. The length of measure of a segment always includes a unit measure, such as inches or meters or something like that. A segment is a part of a line. It's not a whole line, it's just a section. So the next problem has us just looking at unit measure. So if we look at this first one, it's given in millimeters. So millimeters are these super, super, super tiny ones inside of here. And if you have 10 of them, you actually have a centimeter. So this could be considered a centimeter here. But they are measuring right now in millimeters. But this is also 1 centimeter. So in this case, it looks like it's 40 millimeters plus a little bit more. It looks to be like about 42. So we would write our answer as 42 and then millimeters. So our next example comes from using a metric, not a metric, yeah, it's a metric. So in this case, we're going to be using centimeters. So in this case, you can see that this is 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and we have 5. And then notice that inside of that, each one of those, it's broken into 4 sections. So each one of these little lines here is 1/4. So our total centimeters for this one will be 4 and 2 halves, or not 2 halves, 2/4 or 1/2. So, all right, we're going to redo this problem, so I started off wrong. Each one of these right here is a total of 10, and it looks like we don't quite have 10 here, but it looks like we have about 8. So our total here would be 18, and since we're using those smaller measures, we would have to say millimeters. The next one, hopefully it's pretty clear to hear, we can just say 2 and then centimeters. Look at this one. It's just going from 0 inches to 3 inches, so we would just write our standard 3 inch. So the next one, again, this is using our regular standard, and notice here again that there's spaces here. So between 2 and 3, there are 4 spaces. So each of those spaces would be considered 1/4. So to count where we're at, we would have to say, count how many little bubbles. So it appears that we're at the third one, so we would have a total of 2 and 3/4, and we would say inches. I'd like you to press pause, try the next one on your own, and then we'll come together and do this one together. Okay, again, you should notice that in between 2 and 3, there are 4 gaps. So each gap is going to count for 1/4. So this answer should be 2 and 1/4. And that will be inches again. The first one, part A, it looks to be lining up pretty exactly there to be 1.5 inches. In the next problem, I'm going to give you a minute to write this down and then just diagram this out. So I'll start in just a second. All right, the word between means between, like you can see. So if I'm telling you M is between P and Q, well, we have a couple of options. We can think of it as a line and having M between there. We also know that this total distance, when I add these two together, will give me the whole distance. So that's what this notation right here is trying to say. So what they're asking us to do here is just to add like terms, or add with common denominators. So for this one, we need to get common denominators, so I'm going to start it, and this should just be a little bit of review of how we're going to get 1/2 into eighths. So I use this thing called a big 1, and I make this an 8, and then I just have to think, okay, well, what do I multiply 8 by to get, or what do I multiply 2 by to get 8? And that number would be 4. So we would have a 4 on the top and a 4 on the bottom, and then now we just multiply across. So we're going to be adding these numbers, plus 2 and 4/8. So our whole numbers are going to add 2 and 4 give me 6, but then now I'm going to have 5 plus 4, so that's 9/8. But within this 9/8 is 6 and 8/8 plus 1/8, because that's how we get the 9/8. So the total here for this one is going to be 7 and 1/8. All right, the next one, again, fairly simple. It's just adding with decimals and just remembering your decimal rules. I guess the decimals need to line up, and then we would just add 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1, make this 7, and then we would get our 6. So our total here is 67.2, also 2, and our units, again, are millimeters. I'm going to go back on that last one and see if I actually remember to put units on that one. I did not, so this should be inches. Okay, so let's see, the next two I'd like you to give a try. So press pause, and then we'll come together and check them out. Okay, so this one actually was a subtraction, and it's that betweenness here. So we're trying to find this missing measure. So we would have to write that out with our lining up decimals, and just to do this all by hand, I don't have a calculator, we would get 1.4, and then we would have to put in our correct units. The next one is going to be similar to that in that we're going to be subtracting, so I would get 3, but I'm going to be subtracting, so I'm just going to rewrite this as 2 and 8/8, and then I'm going to subtract. I'll move this up here a little bit. I'll be subtracting 1 and 3/8. So I put this as the one that would make 3 by taking 2 plus 1. So then I would just add down, subtract, sorry, and I would get, I'm going to write it over here, 1, and 8 minus 3 gives me 5, and this would be 8ths, finally, to put in our correct label. So it looks to be that B is the correct answer. I'm going to press pause. We're going to be done with this part of it. And in the next video, I will go over the last couple of examples.